reported this month was fake? No way.
Popular gacha games on the market nowadays don't have a PvP game mode.
True.
In a genre
Yeah, they do. It's forums, it's online, it's Twitter.
defined by the ability to pay for power, it's a great way to keep most players from being alienated by whales. Luckily, for the parts of the community that do like PvP, there's another outlet for that.
Yeah, it's called Tectone chat. All right, pull it up, man. I will take any chatter and I will fight them 1v1 in front of everybody, bro. It's either I get bitch or you get bitch. We'll see.
SensorTower monthly rankings and report. Measuring revenue and financial performance across a 30 or so day span, this report delivered at the start of each month always brings with it some of the spiciest conversations in the genre. Oftentimes,
yeah, I just feel like Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero are dead because they're not making $60 million a month. Like, I just feel like if they're not making all of Elden Ring's revenue in 1 month, then they're just dead. Can you even run a gacha game company for less than $100 million a month? Poor Hoyoverse is only making $60 million. Guys, we need to C6 all of our Nahitas and Klees to show them what we really love about Genshin Impact. Because they're suffering. We need more.
this data is just fuel for the fire when it comes to a game's biggest haters. Since if the data from this website is showing that a game's revenue went down, that surely means it's reaching its end of service. Right? These numbers are oftentimes treated.
If WUA were to end of service because they're only making $10 million a month, that would be the funniest shit I've ever seen.
It as gospel by many members of the community, and you can't blame them either. Gacha players aren't known for their ability to read between the lines and critically think about information. A stack-ranked list of games with 2 numbers is easy to digest and easy to talk to others about. But what if I told you that all of this data that all of these people are using to draw these conclusions is just completely made up? And the funny thing is, you can confirm that this data is complete fan fiction in as little as 3 minutes on the Gacha Revenue website itself, the original source of all these garbage reports. If there's one conclusion to come to after a surface level review of the data, it's clear that none of these numbers make any sense at all. And there are
The other thing is that people don't want you to know about is the majority, all of this revenue is only mobile. It doesn't include PC whatsoever. And a lot of them say it's CN iOS, which I don't believe because there's global reports. But the problem is, all of these numbers are rough estimates and should be taken with a grain of salt. The problem is people take them as factuality. Now, I am one of those people who do take them as factuality because I know it pisses people off. I truly don't care who's making more money or less money, but it is hilarious to see that as Genshin Impact gets worse and worse, they make more money, meaning the game state will never change. And the other thing for Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves, as they're doing worse and worse, they're getting looter and looter with their game. I fucking love it personally. I love it. Legit, dude. There's gonna be a Jane Doe in-game sex scene, I'm telling you, bro. Shorekeeper is gonna be sucking our gawk by the end of 3.0, I'm telling you.
lot of reasons for that. And today, we'll be taking the time to break down what those reasons are.
Yes,
As
sir.
always, if you're enjoying this content,
loving it,
please hit that like.
I would
and
love to,
subscribe
brother
button.
man.
The most significant disclaimer when it comes to SensorTower revenue is also one that is never made known on the monthly revenue reports. That disclaimer is that a majority of their revenue estimations are completely made up. Going onto the Gacha revenue website itself and searching up Wuthering Waves, specifically in CN, and then changing to Advanced View will show you that, wow, there isn't a single actual piece of data when it comes to Android revenue at all. Gacha revenue guesstimates off of SensorTower's numbers, or just makes up this entire column by multiplying the iOS numbers by 150 to 175%. When we take a look at the month of June, for example, $12.3 million in revenue, or 63.7% of the entire CN region, is completely made up. There's a reason why the Gacha revenue website hides this information behind their convoluted interface and a tiny, tiny little button. There's a reason why they never clarify that over 60% of the actual numbers have no factual basis unless you dig into their FAQ. This data is genuinely bad, and there would be far less people blindly trusting these reports if
it didn't fit their agenda of woo-wah bad, Genshin good.
they knew how bad it actually was.
Yep.
People on the internet are gullible. Hardly anybody takes the time to actually validate the information that they're looking at. And this gacha revenue website is built on a foundation of lying through omission by not disclosing any of these massive flaws directly to the viewer on the front page of the report.
True.
It's one of the most dishonest portrayals of performance possible. And it's a shame that a report like this that can't justify more than half of its data gets so much
That is
headspace
fucking
across gacha
insane.
communities. This information alone might be enough to convince you that these reports are garbage. But what if I told you that its problems extend beyond that, to the point where weeks of data and sales don't even show up at all? We saw a prime example of this in Wuthering Waves with the release of Shorekeeper and the absurdly awful revenue numbers reported at the start of October, which indicated that Wuthering Waves made only $6.5 million. Many believe that the first 2 days of Shorekeeper's banner were included in those totals, and the wave of doom posting and counter doom posting dominated the community across the beginning of October. I was guilty of it myself. And then, lo and behold, less than
This
a
shit was
week
a
later,
joke.
these numbers spiked $5 million overnight to
Doubled.
a total of $11.5 million.
Wow,
There's a
imagine
simple
that.
explanation for this. It's a flaw in the data and how it's gathered. By taking a look at the gacha revenue FAQ, we'll find that the revenue numbers for the month can't be accurately reported until at least a few weeks into the following month. Similarly to the fictional CN Android revenue data, the viewer has to find out this information
Oh, they got a follow from Gacha Gaming Reddit? Great. We'll pull it up right after.
on their own and come to that conclusion themselves. Again, this is simply another example of this website and report lying through omission by not making this dynamic immediately clear to the
Absolutely.
viewer. How difficult would it be to add a small disclaimer to the top of all these reports and confirm that a majority of the CN data is completely made up and that monthly revenue numbers aren't even close to finalized until the 15th of the following month? Wouldn't players be able to make more accurate assumptions or conclusions about the performance of their games if they had this full information?
Yeah, but we don't
Wouldn't
want
it
players
be
to be
better
informed.
for the gacha community as a whole if they knew there's a giant asterisk on every single number on these reports? The fact of the matter is that these reports and this website thrive off misleading an audience. There would
Hey, same, man. Absolutely same. Bro, I take these things very seriously. And it's a free video every month, and it's fun every time. I don't care because it's so funny seeing how serious people take this shit, and the comments are hilarious.
would be far less trust, far less acknowledgement, and far less traffic to this website if they were upfront about the massive holes in their data and reporting. There's a reason why they hide all of the important disclaimers about their numbers deep in their FAQ, knowing that a vast majority of viewers will never actually look at it. There's a reason why this FAQ isn't front and center on their website, and there's a reason why you have to click into the questions to even find the answers. It's because the
amount of
person
ZZ conversions
curating
on
this
the internet,
data and
it's every
running
month.
this website is pretty much doing whatever the hell they feel like and painting whatever narratives they'd like. Expanding the question, SensorTower only reports iOS CN revenue. Where did you get Android data from? Gives you the answer of, I saw some other people make revenue posts by multiplying iOS numbers by 1.5 to 2.5, so I just went with 1 3/4. That is this data scientist's justification for
Oh my
millions of
God.
dollars in fabricated revenue data. They saw other people guesstimating between 150 to 250% and just went with
Oh
175
my
for
God.
fun. Who cares about citing your sources? Who cares about validating
He
your
quite
data? Just
literally
throw a
is just
multiplier
fully
on it
making it
because
up.
you saw other people doing it. Reading this one answer alone should be enough to invalidate any conclusion.
It's great because people are going to say this video is false until the Hoyoverse top 3 fall off. And then they'll say, wait a second, no, this is wrong. If Love in Deep Space and AFK Journey were to be sitting at the top for the next 3 months, Hoyo shills would freak the fuck out 1,000,000%.
You have from this report completely. If the creator of this website truly wanted to give an accurate overview of revenue performance without misleading the community, they wouldn't publish
pinned comment
monthly
on the video? Yeah,
reports
you
on
got
the
it.
first. They would acknowledge the faults in their data gathering and delay all monthly reports until the 15th to make time for accurate data, but they don't. They would make it abundantly clear to anyone viewing their reports that a huge portion of their revenue data, over 60% of their CN numbers, is completely made up in one of the laziest calculations possible, instead of hiding the specifics behind multiple clicks and categories on their website. But they don't. They would put huge disclaimers at the beginning of their reports indicating that there are massive flaws with its numbers and dissuade people from making hasty assumptions with bad data and minimize the negative backlash multiple games receive at the start of every month. But they don't. The fact of the matter is that gacharevenue.com is only taken seriously because people simply don't know how it works, and the website's developer doesn't make it clear how to find out.
I'll be real, man. I feel like Wuthering Waves is doing far better than these websites show, especially because the premier way to play Wuthering Waves is on PC 1,000,000%. And also, Wuthering Waves currently, based on the revenue that we do know, appeals to a Western audience much more than it appeals to an Eastern one. And the majority of NA is a lot more PC oriented. So, personally, I think the revenue is doing far better than it's letting people to believe. But that's just my opinion.
Because once a person knows how these reports actually work, they'll naturally come to the conclusion that it's pretty much completely worthless and not worth analyzing at all. And that would be bad for business.
True.
To wrap it all up, all I'll say is that these reports should be taken with the fattest grain of salt on earth. When the creator is making up over half their data and hiding the reason why, you know you're seeing the product of someone whose goal is to mislead people. Don't fall for the bait. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like.
And it's also very fitting to show that Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact, which are the two games that are most easily enjoyed on phone, are doing that much better on the iOS. So that's my big theory on the discrepancy. Now, apparently there's a pinned comment to the top. Let me pull it up real quick. What is the pinned comment? SensorTower is not a scam. You Kuro bots are just salty that y'all are nowhere near the top of the charts for revenue. Keep being sad that you play a game that is nowhere on the same level as the prestigious game known as Genshin Impact. Said by Genshin Knight with the Farina profile picture. And then Gacha Gaming made a post about it. You came to the revenue thread looking for facts, didn't you? You dumb, naive brat. This is about agenda, not about high or low revenue. How well a game is doing doesn't matter. Whatever I call EOS or thriving is exactly that. Yeah, man. It's just to piss people off, and it's just to fulfill agendas. We all fucking know it, man. We all know it. That being said, it is pretty fun. You can use it to get a rough estimate, but you can't use it to get accurate data. But it sure is fucking fun now, isn't it?